a question and answer episode. And like I also said in a video earlier, the channel is not yet enabled for live sessions. So I asked you to send your questions to me or leave them as comments on the videos, and I was going to pick them up and answer them in a pre-recorded video. And alas, we have arrived at the 50th episode. I have come so far, and I thank God, and I thank you for coming along with me on this journey. Thank you so much. It's just started raining outside, but I must do this video. Hi guys, welcome to my channel once again, and welcome to the much anticipated 50th episode of Bar Talk with Ola. I'm so thrilled to have you here. This is Mojola Olua saying welcome. So I have a few questions here, and I'm just going to go into them right away. The first question says that, how do you stay motivated and focused? Some of us have been struggling to write one article for years. I know the person that sent this question, and I understand where they are coming from. And I have to say that although they did indicate that it's not really a law-related question, but they wanted to ask anyways. So what has worked for me is that I see writing as a duty, just like I see creating content on this channel as a duty. This person also commended my consistency on this channel, and I thank them for it. So I always look at it like that thing that I'm supposed to write will make the world a better place, and so I have to write it. There are some people that will be positively impacted by reading what I have written, and I'll give you an example. I wrote something about Bello and Ecobank, the decision in Bello and Ecobank, which says that a company cannot terminate, an employer now cannot terminate the employee's contract or employment without giving them a reason. That earlier it was hire and fire the way you like, but now the court said in 2020 that if you're firing someone that you've hired, you have to give them a reason. So I wrote that piece, and it was published on, I think, the Nigerian Lawyer. I'll leave a link to the full piece in the description box. So a lot of people read it. I kept getting emails, because I put my emails on my writing so that people can contact me if they need further help or if they need clarification. But I kept getting emails. People kept telling me, oh, thank you so much. And SAN even mailed me, thank you so much, my sisters. I'm now sister to SAN. That's by the way. What I'm saying is that a lot of people mailed me, people, laymen, lawyers, alike, thanking me for writing it and telling me how it has helped them, the kind of clarification it has given to them. Some people even just left me mails, just like a chit chat, like a comment on what I had written, that now employers can also so just like taking the discussion a little further. But this particular person is the one I want to talk about. He mailed me and told and said that he wanted to speak to me because he had a dilemma that was related to Bello and Ecobank. So I sent him a number, and he called. We spoke at length, and his company had done to him something similar to what had been done to Mr. Bello in Bello and Ecobank, and he wanted my advice. So I gave him some advice. I told him to go back to the HR, and have some discussions. We agreed. I did not hear from him again, so I mailed him after like a month or two, like, oh, Mr. So, I'm just checking on you. How did your discussion with the HR go? Because he was in a dire situation. He was being terminated after about 18 years with one of the top FMCG companies in Nigeria, international company. Had worked with them at home and abroad. He was being terminated for no reason. After about 18 years, what do you want him to do? Where do you want him to start? So we talked about what he could do, and I was expecting feedback. And then about 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, he called me out of the blues, and he was thanking me for checking up on him. He was so shocked that I would mail him back, and was like, oh, he did not think that there were still Nigerians who would do that. And then he explained to me what had happened when he spoke with the HR the place he was at now, and how things had gone on, and I just generally we just chit chatted and bid ourselves goodbye. Now, what am I trying to say? That man has gotten value from what I wrote, and that value has extended, in a way, helped him in his own predicament that was similar to Mr. Bello's predicament. So I think one encouragement that can spur you to writing is when you think about the effects that your writing would have on the world, whose life would be better off if you wrote that thing. So you should think about that. It could be a form of motivation for you. Now, how to put pen to paper can be very difficult too, like I think your question is also suggesting. So what I do is that I give myself a deadline. So you might say that, oh, within the first quarter of the year, I want to write 5 articles or 5 papers, research papers, academic papers, what have you. Now, because you've given yourself a deadline, or a timeline rather, now what I've observed usually happens is that you might not meet up with the deadline, but you might end up writing 1 or 2. As opposed to if you just left it and you did not, set any time boundaries for yourself, and you find out that you did not even do anything. So set a deadline for yourself. Give yourself a goal that this is what I want to have written by so time. Then look at your career trajectory. How are these things going to affect you? Now, I've talked about how it will affect people. I've talked about how you should set a timeline. Now, the third thing is, how will it affect your career trajectory? For instance, if you're pursuing a career in the academia in the long run, it will pay you to have paper on ground now, academic paper, to have your thought pieces out there, so that when it's time for you to apply or get into that line of work, you would have things that would speak for you, that will go ahead of you. So look at your career trajectory. Sit down and look at it. How is writing this piece going to affect my career? When you think about those things, I'm telling you, they will spur you to writing. And then another thing is, open that Microsoft Word document already. Now, you cannot say that you want to write something and you don't even have a Microsoft Word document open. Sometimes I open a Microsoft Word document and I probably put a title, and I don't get to write it for weeks or even months. But the fact that a document is open already, it gives me a sense of indebtedness, that, oh, I'm owing this paper, I ought to write it. I'm owing this article, I ought to write it. So when you start by opening that Microsoft Word document, or maybe if you still write on paper, just start that page, just write something related to the paper. It will also spur you, to complete what you've started. Another thing is, get your materials. What I also do is that I gather my material over time. So I don't necessarily get my material the day I'm supposed to write. I keep gathering them. So because you're in the process of gathering materials, it will also spur you to action, because you're not going to gather them and just leave them there. You're going to use them. You're going to act on them. So gather your materials, then talk about your writing. If you have an accountability partner, tell them that, oh, I want to write so, and I want to write within this timeline. This is important for my career, or I feel this is what it will do on the world. Maybe they could keep reminding you or spur you into action. Don't tell someone that will steal your idea and go and publish the paper behind your back, because you know how it is. It's a circus out there. Another thing is, if there's someone that you look up to in the field of writing, or someone that you love to write as much as or like at some point in time, keep snooping on them. Keep looking at what they read. Oh, have they published another thing? Have they done this? Have they done that? So it will help you, it will spur you, it will keep challenging you that, oh, this person is a human being and they've published another paper. Hey, God, when am I going to write mine? So it might spur you to action. Then it might help you, also understand, what you're supposed to be doing, how you're supposed to also do it. Then the last, and not the last thing, another thing I want to say is that I'm spending so much time on one question because I love writing. I just love writing. Anything writing, just call me. I'm here. Let's talk about it. Let's write it. So another thing is that study your creative process. How do you write? What's your writing tone, your writing voice, your writing aura, or environment, and get yourself in that mood. What gets you into the writing mood? If there's something in particular that does that for you, please get it and let it get into the mood and write away. Although you'll not always be in the mood to write, but if you understand the importance of what you're supposed to be writing with the earlier points that I've shared, you would spoil yourself to writing. And then another thing is that understand your style. It's different from what I've just said in this sense. You might be going to write an academic paper. What might come easily to you might be an opinion piece. Okay, you might be going to write maybe articles for a magazine. What might come easily to you might be short microblogging pieces, maybe on LinkedIn or Twitter or something. So understand what works for you. If what you're trying to write, which is so arduous for you to write, is an academic piece, then shift base. Look at what is easier for me to write. Because I know that most people have challenge with writing academic pieces because of the citations. You have to use up-to-date citations. If you're a lawyer and you're writing in law, you have to use the scholar, citation method or whatever. And then, so many rules and regulations. You have to cite decided cases and all of that. So it might be overwhelming. So start from what comes easily to you before you get to what you cannot but do because of where you're going in your career. Start from what comes easily to you. If what would come easily to you is maybe a piece for Business Day or, for the Nigerian lawyer, just write it and send it out. And let, the world know that you're writing from that piece. Let yourself know that you are writing. Let people read what you're capable of writing. Let people be blessed from the value that you have to churn out. Do not restrict yourself or do not give up or continue putting off what you're supposed to write because you want to get it out in a particular format. Start with the format that comes easily to you, and trust me, when you get to that one that does not come easily to you, because you have continued to write over time, it will become a little bit easier for you. So that's another thing that I think might be a challenge. So do it that way. Maybe it might work. And then if you like to partner with someone else, to write, you could share it with them so that it could be like a co-written piece. And if that person has written their part, that you would be spoiled to finish up so that you can send it out and submit. So that's another thing. And of course, commit it to God in prayers. Ask for the Holy Spirit to spur you to action, to put the right words in your heart and give you the grace to express them as you should. And, send it out to the right publication and, for the written work to run in its course, and do that for which God is sending it out into the world through you. So that's how I'll answer that question. I hope that, it helps in a way. Thank you for asking, and thank you for subscribing to my channel. Thank you for the encouragement that I've gotten from you so far. It means a lot to me. You know yourself, the asker of the question. Thank you. Now, the next question I got is this. Please, how do I take a date before the court? I've made a full video on taking a date before the court. Maybe because I titled it adjournment. So adjournment is the same thing as taking a date before the court. I'll leave the link to that video in the description box. Please just click it if you ask this question. Click it and watch it. And it will be of great value to you. Essentially, you're telling the court that you want, the proceedings or, the matter to be adjourned onto another date. So you just say, so you'd have to ask for the date depending on the circumstances surrounding you wanting to ask for the date. For instance, if you need to put your house in order, you say that in the circumstances, we'll be praying for a date in order to enable us put our house in order. It's simple. And then the court will ask you what date are you suggesting, or if you want to be guided by the diary, the registrar will give you a date. You check your diary, the other party will check their diary, the court will see if it's convenient for them, and they'll grant you the date. But essentially, just watch that video that I've already done about taking a date, and it's so easy. It's the easiest thing that you can do before the court in Nigeria. The next question is this. How do I draft a simple tenancy agreement? A tenancy agreement is very easy. You'll find samples online. It's just what you and the landlord have, elected to do, during the period of your tenancy. So it's no rocket science, but essentially it should contain the following things that I've noted down. The first is the commencement. That's when the tenancy is starting, and the name of the parties, that's Mr. AA, hereinafter known as the landlord, and Mr. BB, hereinafter known as or referred to as the tenant. Then you talk about how the tenancy came to be. That's like saying that, oh, the landlord is willing to let his apartment or his house or his building, a duplex at number so street so area so in your locality. You talk about, you mention the state or the local government or the area, the full address of the full address of the property, and the tenant is willing to take the property. So you just say that that's like the whereas, and then you go on to the consideration clause. That's when you talk about the amount that you're paying for the rent. A tenancy agreement must reflect the amount that the tenant is paying to the landlord and for which period of time. So he's paying 200,000 for the period of 6 months, which starts from 10th of November 2021 to the end date. So a tenancy agreement must reflect that. And then you go to the covenants. You talk about the landlord's covenants, the things that the landlord is promising to do to give you the property in a tenantable condition, to ensure that all rates and charges are paid, to do this and that, just according to the tenancy laws and according to what both of you have agreed. And then you talk about the tenant's covenants. The tenant has agreed to take up these tenants. The tenant has agreed to take up this property, to live in peace with other tenants, to deliver it up in a tenantable condition, to pay all accruing rates and charges and all of that. You put all of that, and then the execution clause, in witness of which both parties have affixed their signature hereunder, this day and year first above mentioned, something of the sort, and then signed, sealed, and delivered. The landlord signs, his witness signs, it might be 1 or 2 witnesses, and then the tenant signs and his witness signs, or a witness signs. Now I'm not gender biased, it might be 1 or 2 witnesses, and that's a tenancy agreement. If you Google this thing, I'm sure you find samples online. The last question I got says that, what if the rent is on a monthly or weekly basis? What's the month's notice to be issued on each? Now, for a monthly tenancy, you have to issue a 1 month notice to the tenant, a 1 month notice to quit to the tenant, and that's a calendar month, a full calendar month. And for a weekly tenant, you issue a 7-day notice. A 7-day notice, that's what you're supposed to issue to them, a 7-day notice to quit. So that's it. For a yearly tenant, we all know that it's 6 months notice to quit. So that's all the questions I got. If you have any more questions, leave them in the comment section. I'll answer them in upcoming videos. And thank you so much once again for coming this far with me. It's Bar Talk with Ola, and I'll see you in my very next video. Toodles!